Good morning. We continue with our Western Women's Reader. We are on page 545. This is about Roxanne Swensel, born in 1962. Roxanne Swensel, born in Taos, lives in the Santa Clara Pueblo, south of Santa Fe. She has been working in clay since she was a child. The people she shapes are at once a celebration of the old ways and a birthing into new ways. She says of herself, "I am a sculptor of human emotions." Virginia Woolf wrote of a woman's need for a room of one's own, but Swensel's art emerges from the communal experience and is a family affair. People would come together to collect materials, dig clay, sift, polish, and fire pottery. This was done through and around other activities, such as taking care of children, cooking, or visiting. There are no studios where art is the sole activity. It was done in the flow of daily life, and every act is done in order to restate the place of humans within the cosmos. The artistic sense belongs to all people, not merely to people who call themselves artists. There was and is no word meaning art or artist in the Pueblo language. Swensel briefly attended the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe and the Museum Art School in Portland before she decided to go home. But living in the Santa Clara Pueblo doesn't eliminate the complexity of modern life. Most of the people in the Pueblo go off to work from 8 to 5, just like everybody else. And they want their new car and their new TV and their new VCR. What they really want is to be middle-class white Americans. Nobody has a center anymore. It is time for everybody to get back home. The whole world needs to get back home. Swensel herself grew up in a home that was richly complex. Her mother, who is from Santa Clara Pueblo, holds a doctorate in American Studies from the University of New Mexico, and her father, who is Anglo, teaches at St. John's College in Santa Fe. Growing up, Swensel listened to Gregorian chants and studied Rubens and Michelangelo. And she also took part in the feast days, watching the clowns, and joined with uncles, aunts, and cousins in the dances of the Pueblo. She learned to sculpt when she was 4 from an uncle who was blind. Swensel works in the traditional manner, which means her figures are coiled like pots. Often her works include multiple figures. I have to find very strong clays to be able to hold up arms and other things. The clay itself is a living element that shrinks and moves. It's taken many, many years to be able to get close to what I want. Swensel's work can be seen in the Heard Museum in Phoenix, Arizona, and in the Smithsonian's Museum of the American Indian in New York City. In 1994, she won the Creative Excellence in Sculpture Award at the Santa Fe Indian Market. The emergence of the clowns has toured the United States, Canada, and New Zealand. Some of her newer pieces are being cast in bronze, and she has accepted a commission to do a large piece of public art in Santa Fe. Most recently, Swinzel writes, "I've been playing around more with humor to get a message across." Swinzel's figures, her clay people, are recognized today throughout the world. Okay, I'm going to try to slip this picture up here. We got a bitty chance of, so there's the lady, and there's one of her figures. I think we've probably seen a variation of them all over the place. Roxanne Swinzel, clay sculpture, 1996, photographed by Toba Tucker. All right, here's some writing. Roxanne Swinzel, clay people, from 1999, which was apparently a long time ago. Clay people. You clay people who dance through my soul, dance right on through me. My eyes look upon you out there. I know you in here, like children out in the world. I send you and hope you will find love out there. The next one, in a circle. In a circle we spin, all roads lead home. For are we not the mud from whence we come? Are we not the air and water and sunlight we take in? Are we not the clouds that also rise up from the ground to rain down upon ourselves? Further, that's the end of her portion. Further readings is Toba Pato Tucker, Pueblo Artists Portraits. Museum of New Mexico Press, 1998. Lois Crozier Hogel, titled Surviving in Two Worlds, from the University of Texas Press, 1997. And the last one, Larry Abbott, Interview with Roxanne Swinzel, Indian Artist, fall of 1997, pages 21 through 25. All right, we got time for another one. Oh my Lord, I see what I was doing now. This other lady's is very, very long. All right, I'm gonna skip them. I remember what happened yesterday. I was counting pages and realized that that next lady is very long. And this one's shorter. All right, we skip ahead to page 563. Janet Campbell Hale, born 1947. A member of the Coeur d'Alene tribe of northern Idaho. Janet Campbell Hale grew up on the Coeur, and then a D and an apostrophe, and then an Alene, A-L-E-N-E. Yeah, Alene, whatever. Somebody knows how to say it right, and you are an incredible person. She grew up on the Indian Reservation in Idaho, although after she was 10, her family moved often. She has said that she attended 21 schools in 3 western states before she finally dropped out of high school. A mother, while still in her teens, Hale fled her abusive husband and hid out in the Haight-Ashbury district in San Francisco. A few years later, she attended the City College of San Francisco and then transferred to the University of California, Berkeley, where she graduated with a BA in 1974. She later received an MA in creative writing from the University of California at Davis and studied law at the University of California at Berkeley. Hale published her first novel, titled The Owl's Song, in 1974. The same year, she received her BA degree. Her 1985 novel, The Jailing of Cecilia Capture, was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. In 1993, she published a collection of autobiographical essays titled Bloodlines. While living for a period in New York City, Hale stated, "If I don't ever see the West again, my heart and soul will always belong to its dramatic terrain. It is my own inner landscape." In the mid-1990s, Hale returned to Idaho and now lives on the Coeur d'Alene Indian Reservation. Describing her life there since her return, she has said, "It has largely been a nightmare. Most recently, she has published Women on the Run, a collection of short stories. In this selection of poems, she demonstrates the deep connections she feels with the Western land and with the people who work it. Across barriers of space and ethnicity, she examines the inheritance her history has given her and confirms the continuities which connect today's Western communities to their pasts." All right, here's a series of poems by Janet Campbell Hale. Salad La Raza, Desmond, Idaho, March 1969. And Custer Lives in Humboldt County, 1975. From Voices of the Rainbow, Kenneth Rosen, 1975. Okay, here we go. Or here, I lead us along. Salad La Raza. The crisp, pale green lettuce caught the sunlight, glistened as I broke the leaves for my salad. Lettuce I'd bought that morning at Safeway, remembering how my family, for a time, and off and on, lived in dumpy cabin camps, moved around, picking berries, beans, apples, cherries, stripping hops. I remembered the dirt, the sweating under a blazing sun for next to nothing, and the babbling, laughing Mexican workers who called themselves Spanish. There were no Chicanos in those days, and looked down on Indians so much. Los Indios was enough of a dirty name in itself. Eating my crisp and delicious Safeway salad, I tried not to think of Cesar Chavez. And the next one, Desmond, Idaho, March 1969 is its title. At my father's wake, the old people knew me, though I knew them not, and spoke to me in our tribe's ancient tongue, ignoring the fact that I don't speak the language. And so I listened, as if I understood what it was all about. And, oh, how it stirred me to hear again that strange, softly flowing native tongue, so familiar to my childhood ear. And the last one, Custer lives in Humboldt County. What was it called when all that old-time white man trouble was going on? All that killing and taking away of home, of country, justifiable genocide or some such thing, no doubt. Involuntary manslaughter, they called it. When that cop in Humboldt County shot the young Pomo last spring, shot him and left him lying by the roadside, hidden in the tall green grass, lying bleeding in the spring sunlight, in the tall green grass. Involuntary manslaughter, they called it, when the Pomo died at last. All the old Wild West white man trouble is over now. Should be forgotten, they say. Wild grass grows again at Little Bighorn, at Steptoe, at Wounded Knee. Tall grass swaying in the gentle wind, covering the old battle scars, the healed wounds. The sun shines warm in a big clear sky. All is quiet now. The past is best forgotten. And that's the end of her poetry. For further reading, she's got something written, Women on the Run, from the University of Idaho Press, 1999, and Bloodlines, Odyssey of a Native Daughter. Skipping around for us, because some of these are really long. Okay, that one's not. Let's add one more. I'm going to skip ahead. We're on page 579 now. From Molly Ivins. Born in 1944. Born in 1944 in Texas, Molly Ivins has carved out a niche for herself as a political reporter, columnist, and humorist with the Houston Chronicle, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, the Austin, Texas Observer, the New York Times, and the Dallas Times-Herald. She has also contributed essays to numerous leading journals and magazines, including Nation, New York Times Book Review, Mother Jones, Miss, and Progressive. Ivins received a BA from Smith College, an MA from Columbia University, and attended the Institute of Political Science in Paris, France. Throughout her career, Ivins has focused on Texas politics, which she once called the finest form of free entertainment ever invented. Her essays have been collected in several books. Molly Ivins can't say that, can she? Vintage, 1992. Nothing but good times ahead. Vintage, 1994. And you gotta dance with them. What brung you? Politics in the Clinton years. Random House, 1988. She is currently completing Shrub, the short but happy political life of George W. Bush from Random House 2000. All right, here's her writings: Molly Ivins, Lone Star Republic, and Impersonating the Lord from You Got to Dance with Them, What Brung You, 1998. I don't know what's up with all this construction vehicles running through here making tons of noise. Maybe they're misplaced. They are very loud. Like I'm competing with them. All right, we're going to start with Impersonating the Lord. I'm so excited. We're having trouble again with that fella who runs around impersonating the Lord. This cat, claiming to be God, told the Rodriguez family of Florida, Texas, last month that if they didn't get naked, get in their car and drive to Louisiana, he, God, would destroy Florida, which is incidentally pronounced Floyd-da, not like the art movement. Now you know perfectly well that wasn't really God. Someone was just funning the Rodriguezes. God might destroy Floyd-da sometime on aesthetic grounds, but he'd never tell anyone to go to Louisiana. The upshot of this deplorable case of Lord impersonation was that the entire Rodriguez family, buck naked, drove to Vinton, Louisiana, Marcia Ball's hometown, where they were startled by a cop, drove into a tree, and then 20 naked folks piled out of a GTO, 5 kids in the trunk, which just astonished the hell out of the Vinton cops. The driver was incarcerated. The other Rodriguezes were remanded to the care of the Baptist Church in nearby Sulphur, Louisiana, and the Vinton cops still haven't recovered. I figured this Lord impersonator is the same guy who pulled that prank on Oral Roberts a few years back. What? Whoa. Hang on. I got knocked off my rocker. Give me just a friggin' second here. Oh, what? I figured this Lord impersonator is the same guy who pulled that prank on Oral Roberts a few years back. Remember when Roberts said that God had told him to tell us, pay up or the preacher gets it? Same joker. You notice he's concentrating on the Texas, Oklahoma area. I won't deny that we have an unusually high percentage of geeks in this neck of the prairie, because let's face it, we do. But I don't think it's fair for this prankster to be picking on our geeks. I think the Texas League should pass a bill making impersonating the Lord a felony. And then we should have a kind of neighborhood watch with everyone calling in suspected cases of Lord impersonations to the Texas Rangers. I don't see why God should take the blame when preachers or citizens claim they've heard from him and then say nothing, then say something idiotic. They can say it on their own, like my old preacher who once observed, my friends, to be good Christian, you must be a good Christian. Okay, the next one is titled Lone Star Republic. Pumpkin Nitty, stop it. My dog's nickname is Pumpkin Needy because he's my pumpkin, but he's really needy. It's his specialized nickname. fucking needy. That's probably too much information, but there we go. Here we go. We're going to continue with Lone Star Republic. Called upon once more in my capacity as the world's leading authority on blue-bellied, wall-eyed, lithium-deprived Texas lunatics, I stepped modestly but confidently into the breach. Yes, friends, I can explain why almost a dozen mush-brained lint heads holed up in the Davis Mountains, demanding that Texas become a free country once again. I cannot explain why the national media chose to describe these oxygen-deprived citizens as Texas separatists, as though being a Texas separatist were something within the realm of loosely circumscribed sanity. But then not even Slats Grobnik could explain everything. Who is Slats Grobnik? That's someone's name, Slats, S-L-A-T-S, Grobnik, G-R-O-B-N-I-C. First of all, I've never heard of anybody with the nickname Slats, and I'm gonna fix that. Well, I mean, it's fixed already. I technicality, right? Okay, we continue here. Slats Grobnik could explain everything. Not even he could explain everything. The self-proclaimed Republic of Texas is a set of folks descended from the Texas property rights movement. The property rights movement, known further west as the Wise Use movement, surfaced here in the summer of 1994, born in a state of high indignation and profound misunderstanding. The folks in property rights were upset over the prospect that the government might take their, G-U-M-M-I-N-T. The folks in property rights were upset over the prospect that the government might take their property without giving them any recompense. These folks were not reassured by the very words in the Constitution that says the government cannot take your property without giving you fair value for it. During one memorable exchange on this point, Marshall Kuykendall, president of the group Take Back Texas, replied to some legalistic quibbler who asked for a specific case of government-taken property. When Lincoln freed the slaves, he did not pay for them. You have to admit, old Marshall has you there. Now, while that story is quite true, in fairness, it makes the property rights folks look a lot dumber than they actually are. It is widely understood and accepted, even in Texas, that you cannot do whatever the hell you damn please with your own property if it will have a serious adverse effect on your neighbors. You cannot be building some plant with a lot of toxic emissions if it will cause the neighbors to die, for example. Reasonable people can agree on that. Oh, but in Central Texas, the slightly more communistic area of the state, environmentalists have successfully filed a bunch of lawsuits, leaving the courts pondering how much property has to be set aside to maintain a habitat for two endangered species: the black-capped vireo, a pretty songbird, and the Barton Creek salamander, a critter only a herpetologist would love. Envision this from the property owner's point of view. Here you are sitting on several acres of increasingly valuable land on the edge of these booming cities, either Austin or San Antone. You got these high-tech companies, IBM, Texas Instruments, whoever, just begging you to let them build a nice new plant on your place. And some fool is going to screw this up over a salamander? And while that salamander deal is being decided, is anybody going to pay you for the money you're losing? So there, you have the nub of your property rights movement, which also involves more generalized anti-environmentalist sentiment, plus a lot of Fed cussing. So how do we get from fair questions to Las Cucarachas in the Davis Mountains? Easy. The property rights movement always did shade gradually from folks who sound just like every grump you've ever heard grousing about the goddamn government to total fruitcakes. The fruitcake end of the spectrum naturally shaded into the militia movement, as Jim Hamblin of San Marcos, a member of the Texas Constitutional Militia, once inquired reasonably, why are they so afraid of a few 100,000 people with assault rifles? But out there on the far end of the militia movement, mostly a bunch of guys who like to play soldier, you find your folks into the Turner Diaries, race war, bombing federal buildings, slippery slopes. The Republic of Texas, in turn, has two branches: the nearly normal lunatics, who claim to be the official Republic of Texas, and the Richard Lance McLaren branch. McLaren has been filing phony liens since 1985 and is splendidly obsessive. He has written thousands and thousands of pages of legal documents, briefs, appeals, warrants, liens, proclamations, a sort of vast parody of the law. Two things worth noting about the ROT folks. One is, you listen to these guys long enough and they will start to remind you of the kid who used to get so heavily involved in the game Dungeons and Dragons that they lost track of reality. At some point, imagination becomes delusion, and this group delusion is spread throughout the internet. One cannot blame computers for this, since history is full of examples of not just the folie deux, but the folie large numbers. But computers do facilitate the phenomenon. The second important point about capital R, capital O, capital T, and its followers is that they should not be dismissed with the old put down. Get a life. You see, that's the problem. They can't. Most of them don't have the education or the skills to get and keep a decent job. They're going to spend the rest of their lives in trailer parks. Basically, these guys are Bubba. A little stranger than Bubba usually is, but still Bubba. Maybe a high school education. 20. Make the almost 30 years of failing wages. No way to get ahead. And all day they listen to the establishment media tell them the economy is booming. Everyone else is getting rich. Mansions are selling like hotcakes. But cigars and thick steaks are fashionable again. The angst of the soccer mom is the highest concern of our politicians. There is so much anger out here. It is taking so many bizarre forms, and most of the media can't even see it. Economic apartheid keeps the bottom half of this society well hidden from the top half. Texas Attorney General Dan Morales says ROT is terrorism, pure and simple. We all feel real bad about the one fella who was killed in the deal. We thought we'd gotten out of it without bloodshed, but 2 of them took to the hills. The official explanation is that Mike Matson, 48, was shot by a Texas Department of Criminal Justice dog handler after he had fired on a state helicopter. But it should be noted that Matson had shot 3 dogs at that point. Ding battery, pure and simple. I could buy terrorism, because a lot of Americans cannot forgive what happened at Waco and Ruby Ridge. Why should they? Ever heard anyone apologize for those murders? A lot of Americans have no hope, get no help, and see their own government as an oppressive force. For them, it is, isn't it? Working class people are getting screwed by their own government. Its latest start is to cut the capital gains tax and the estate tax that kicks in after a person leaves more than $600,000. More tax breaks for the rich mean a larger share of the tax burden for everybody else. What we have here is just a little case of misdirected anger. Okay, the UN and black helicopters are not the problem, but I don't underestimate the anger itself. 1997. Further reading is New York Times Book Review, October, and Women's Review of Books, December 91. Alright, I think I can squeeze one more in here, because we are at the end of the book, so looks like I'll have 3 to read if I read this one. At 37, I'm gonna give it a try. Sandra Cisneros, born 1954. Hang on, let me get it. I can tell. My whistle is dry. I've had a lucky morning this morning. One of my favorite, I have several favorite animals, but one of my very favorite is beaver. And I must have seen, I don't know, it looked like he's 40 or 50 pounds. And he just waddled right across the road. And then I saw the footprints of where his buddy went by earlier. I have never seen one that large, especially not out of the water. They can move around really well in the water. Another one of my favorite animals is buffalo, but I didn't see any of them today. Just oversharing. Sandra Cisneros, born in Chicago in 1954, Sandra Cisneros was raised in Humboldt Park, Illinois, the only daughter among 7 children of a Chicana mother and a Mexican father. After earning a BA at the Loyola University, she graduated from the writing program at the University of Iowa. In the years since, she has been writer in residence at several universities, including the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor, the University of California, Irvine, and the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. Sandra Cisneros has published a large number of poetry collections, including Bad Boys, Mango, 1980, and the Rodrigo poems from Third Woman Press from 1987, Loose Woman poems by Knopf in 1994, and My Wicked, Wicked Ways by Turtle Bay Books in '92. Still, she is best known for her novels, written as collections of interconnected short stories and essays. The first of these, The House on Mango Street, 1984, drew on her experiences in Chicago and won the Before Columbus American Book Award. Her next novel, Woman Hollerin' Creek, 1991, centered around San Antonio, Texas, and drew on narratives of people living in the area. Writing in English, generously peppered with Spanish phrases, more evocative than their translations, Cisneros captures linguistically her mastery of both of her worlds. Spanish is, for Cisneros, a boon for the Chicana writer, who has twice as many words to pick from, and thus two ways of looking at the world. In this selection from Woman Hollerin' Creek, Cisneros plays with the idea of remembering the Alamo, the site of the siege, commemorated in John Wayne's film version, looking at it from the other side of the story. Remember the Alamo. Gustavo Galindo, Ernie Sepulveda, Jesse Robles Jr., Ronnie De Hoyos, Christina Zamora. When I was a kid and my ma added the rice to the hot oil, you know how it sizzles and spits? It sounds kind of like applause, right? Well, I'd always bow and say, "Gracias, mi querido público." Thank you, and blow kisses to an imaginary crowd. I still do, kind of as a joke, when I make Spanish rice or something and add it to the oil. It roars and I bow, just a little, so no one would guess. But I bow and I'm still blowing kisses, only inside. Mary Alice Lujan Santiago Sanabria Tomateo Herrera. But I'm not Rudy when I perform. I mean, I'm not Rudy Cantu from Falfurrias anymore. I'm Tristan. Every Thursday night at the Travesty. Behind the Alamo, you can't miss it. One-man show, girl. Flamenco, salsa, tango, fandango, merengue, kumbaya, cha-cha-cha. Don't forget, the Travesty. Remember the Alamo. Lionel Owen Taveras and Darlene Lamone, Alex Vigil. And then there, and then this is what it says. There are other performers, the Mambo Queens. Don't get me wrong, it's not that they're not good at what they do, but they're not class acts. Daniela Romo impersonators, Luca Villa lookalikes, Carmen Mirandas, fruit department if you ask me, but Tristan is very, how do I put it, elegant. I mean, when he walks down the street, he turns head like this. Passionate and stormy and arrogant. Yes, arrogant a little. Sweetheart, in this business you have to be. Blas G. Cortinas, Armando Salazar, Fredri Mendoza. Tristan holds himself like a matador. His clothes magnificent. Absolutely perfect. Like a second skin. The crowd throbbing. Tristan, Tristan, Tristan. Tristan smiles, the room shivers. He raises his arms, the wings of a hawk. Spotlight clean as the moon of Andaluca. Audience breathless as water. And then, boom, the heels like shotguns. A dance till death. I will love you. Hasta la muerte, mi vida. Do you hear? Until death. And the next one. Brenda Nunez, Jacinto Tovar, Henry Bautista, and Nancy Rose Luna. Because every Thursday night Tristan dances with La Calca Flaca, Tristan takes the fag hag by the throat and throttles her senseless. Tristan's not afraid of La Flaquita, thin death. The next one, Arturo Dominguez, Porfira Escalante, Gregory Gallegos Duran, Ralph G. Soles. Tristan leads death across the floor. Verdad que me quieres mi, con esta verdad que sí. Hasta la muerte. Hasta la muerte. I'll show you how to ache. Paul Villarreal Saucedo, Monica Rojas, Baltazar M. Lopez. Excuse me, Lord. Say it. Say you want me. You want me. Te quiero. Look at me. I said, look at me. Don't take your eyes from mine. Death. Yes. My treasure. My precious. Mi pedazo de alma desnuda. You want me so bad it hurts. A tug of war. A tease. And stroke. Smoke in the mouth. Hasta la muerte. Ha. The next one. Dortia Villalobos, Jorge H. Hall, Aurora Anguano, Roman Amando, Tejarina, and Bobby Mendola. Tristan's family, they love him no matter what. His ma proud of his fame. That's mi hijo. His sister's jealous because he's the pretty one, but they adore him and he gives them tips on their makeup. At first his father said, "What's this?" But then when the newspaper articles started pouring in, well, what could he do but send photocopies to the relatives in Mexico, right? And Tristan sends them all free backstage passes. They drive all the way from the valley for the opening of the show. Even the snooty relatives from Monterey. It's unbelievable. Last time he invited his family, they took the whole damn third floor of La Mancia del Rio. I'm not kidding. He's the greatest live act in San Antonio. Doesn't put up with bull. No way. Either loves you or hates you. Ferocious, I'm telling you. Muy hot, hot, hot. Or cold as a witch's tough chichi. Isn't tight with nobody but family and friends. Doesn't need to be. Go on, say it. I want you to. I'll school you. I'll show you how it's done. See this ring? A gift from an art admirer and dance aficionado. Sent worth $500 of red roses the night of his opening. You should have seen the dressing room. Roses, roses, roses. Honey. Then he sent the ring, little diamonds set in the shape of Texas. Just because he was fond of art. That's how it is. Say it. Te quiero. Say you want me. You want me. The bitch and Tristan are like this. La Flaca crazy about him. Lots of people love Tristan like that. because Tristan dares to be different, to stand out in a crowd, to have style and grace and elegancia. Tristan has that kind of appeal. He's not scared of the low rider types who come up at the Esquire bar, that beer stinking, piss-soaked hole, jukebox screaming, Brenda Lee's "I'm sorry, it is Moscone," you gives them a look like the edge of a razor across lip. Dresses all in white in the summer, all in black in the winter. No in between except for the show. That's how he is, Tristan. But he's never going to be anything but honest. Carry his heart in his hand. You know it. And when he loves, gives himself body and soul. None of this fooling around. A love so complete you have to be ready for it. Courageous. Put on your seat belts, sweets. A ride to the finish. So bad it aches. A dance until death. Every Thursday night when he glides with La Flaca, wraps his arms around her, La Mortitia, with her shit-eating bless her heart grin, doesn't faze him. La Death, with her dress up the crack of her ass, the girl's pathetic. What a pair! The two, like Ginger and Fred, tangoing across the floor. Two angels, heavenly bodies floating cheek to cheek, or nalga to nalga. Hey girl, I'm telling you, wakale muchacha, with those maracas and the cha-cha-cha of those bones, 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 she's a natural. Verdad que me quieres mi carnita? Verdad que sí? Tristan never feels better than on Thursday nights when he's working her, when he's living those moments, the audience breathing, sighing out there, roaring when the curtains go up and the lights and music begin. That's when Tristan's life starts. Without ulcers or gas stations or hospital bills or bloody sheets or public hairs in the sink. Lovers in your arms, pulling farther and farther away from you. Dried husks, hulls, coffee cups, letters home sent back unopened. Tristan's got nothing to do with the ugly, the ordinary, with screen doors, with broken screens, or peeling paint, or raw hallways. The dirty backyards, the muddy spittle in the toilet you don't want to remember. Sweating, pressing himself against you, pink, pee-pee blind and seamless as an eye, pink as a baby rat, your hand small and rubbing it, yes, like this, like so, and your skull being crushed by that sour smell and the taste like tears inside your sore mouth. No, Tristan doesn't have memories like that. Only amor del corazón that you can't buy, right? That is never used to hurt anybody, never ashamed. Love like a body that wants to give and give of itself, that wants to create a universe where nothing is dirty, no one is hurting, no one sick. That's what Tristan thinks of when he dances. And the last one here is by Mario Pacio, Ricky Estrada, and Lilian Alvarado. Say it. Say you want me. Te quiero. Like I want you. Say you love me. Like I love you. I love you. I love you. Te quiero. Me quiero publico. Te adoro. With all my heart, with my heart, and with my body. This body. Sandra Cisneros from A Writer's Notebook for further readings. The Americas Review. Alvina E. Quintana, Homegirls, Chicana Literary Voices. The Development of Chicana Feminist Discourse. And Growing Up Chicana. Tomaris Rivera and Sandra Cisneros. Alright, I believe we probably have 2 more videos left and we will be finished with this book. If I'm mistaken and it's 3, then we'll call that a bonus one. That's how we talk. I feel like I marked this for some reason, but I don't know. Alright, our next lady will be Gloria and Zaldila. Again, they'll be a little bit out of order, but you won't care. Probably won't care. Again, not running out and buying the book because it's right here. I'm taking care of it for us. I appreciate you being with me and liking and sharing and listening to me read to you. Should anyone have forgotten,